I've never seen anything like it before, and to attempt to hit the ball out of there is pure madness.
The winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Cameron Smith.
This is the one that I've always wanted to win since I was a little kid. So it just feels pretty amazing to be able to get it done today.
It's amazing that it's my destiny to be the first Aussie to win. Just incredible.
Hello and welcome to episode 25 of Playing from the Tips, the preview and tipping podcast covering the vast world of professional golf presented by Golf Australia magazine. Jimmy Emanuel here in the driver's seat as the main focus for men's golf returns to America, while the women get their turn at links golf and the Asian Tour returns for a national open. Sitting alongside me in the co-pilot seat is golf podcasting royalty and someone who won't find himself on Jay Monahan's Christmas card list after his column on the PGA Tour this week. Rod Morrie, welcome back to your own studio.
Thank you very much. I'll try and keep my hands off the controls. It's difficult when I'm not usually the passenger. I find this very hard.
People probably think we sit at like a control board. It's in the corner of the room. So it's a strange way to do it.
Set and forget, mate. That's how you do it. Plug and play.
As we continue the search party for the absent Adrian Logue and his self-proclaimed generational tipping talent, we welcome another new so-called expert to the fold. The man behind the popular golf blog Aussie Golfer, online tipping platform Teepster, and all-round good guy Michael Green. Greenie, welcome to Playing from the Tips.
Jimmy, thanks for having me. Hello, Rod.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Good to be here. Yeah, I was going to say big shoes to fill, but sort of big bucket hat to fill. He loves a bucket hat, doesn't he?
I'd say odd shoes to fill.
Yes, he probably wears two left ones. He'd be that guy. Do you know, I was talking to him yesterday. Do you know he I hope he doesn't mind me telling this. He organises his apps on his home screen by colour. He colour codes them in the columns. And he wasn't happy yesterday with the red column, and he made a couple of changes while we were having coffee. I've got photos of the before and after. We won't publish them, but Teepster, by the way, get into it. It's
that's exactly where we're going. Given a significant portion of this audience are listening for tips as they make their own, Greenie, give us a quick cliff notes of what Teepster is.
Yeah, I came up with Teepster 5 years ago now. It's basically kind of like footy tipping, but for golf. Create your own league, and then invite a bunch of mates to play, and then each week pick a golfer from the PGA Tour field. Just at the moment, it's PGA Tour what I've got on there. And whatever sort of money they get, you get virtually, and you sort of compete against your mates in that way. And then you do it one and done, like a lot of people play these games, one and done. So you get one pick at that player per year. So, if you don't make your money that week, then he's gone.
Logue would be carving this up.
Oh, yeah.
He would be carving this up. He's picked, 7 winners this year?
7 winners, I think it is this year.
7 winners he's picked this year.
But
no wonder we won't have him back.
He's a bit of a PGA Tour specialist too, to be fair.
He lives for the big events, Logue.
Speaking of picking winners, there was another added to our tally last week, and that was by yours truly picking Celine Boutier to win the Evian Championship. And Rod, I believe you and I are in agreement that that's worth more than 7 regular tour wins.
It absolutely is. To be honest with you, that is an inspired pick. And you did it twice. You mentioned it once on Good, and you mentioned it on this.
Yeah, that's
right.
It
wasn't like it was just a random thing.
I was up watching on Sunday, but it was great.
When you said it, we'd been talking about the golf course, and I remembered watching Celine Boutier win at Bonneville, and I thought to myself, that's probably not that far removed. Similar sort of terrain. I thought it was a really good call, and of course it turned out to be. And she streeted them, wasn't just a win.
4 first-time major winners on the LPGA this year. Crazy. That takes us to 18 wins this year alongside 136 top 10s, of which 6 were added last week. And Tony Webeck actually picked the top Aussie at both Evian and Senior Open.
That's why he'll never
be invited back, because he makes us look bad. So don't go too well, Greenie. And I'll also mention that I had Padraig Harrington, who lost in the playoffs, so I could add a double major week. So, I'm pretty special too.
That was brutal.
Oh, how good was that?
It's the best golf watching of the year.
That was unbelievable at Royal Porthcawl. On to this week's golf, and arguably despite the ongoing turmoil in men's professional golf, we have one of the more interesting runs of the FedEx Cup playoffs concept since the reduction of 125 to 70 players for the first event. Playoffs start next week though, and this week we are on the Wyndham Championship, and it's over to you, Rod.
tournament within a tournament time. So many players around that bubble. That'll be the story this week. Obviously, who gets to the top 70. This is much better than it used to be with the top 70. The 3 playoff events, they're getting closer to getting it right. Sure, they've had 16 years, but they're getting closer to getting something that works. And, of course, it all ends with the handicapped to a championship at the end of it, which you can never convince me.
Just a flat feeling to something that has potential.
Nothing about it says golf. What's this staggered start giving the handicaps to the people who lead it the least? Anyway, let's not go there. We'll rip that apart when we come to that week. This week will be really interesting to watch because there are, of course, as there always are, a couple of big names that are lurking around. So we'll come to those in a moment. First things first, final event of the season, obviously. Top 70 go through from here to next week in Memphis, the FedEx St. Jude. Top 50 the following, and then down to 30 for the tour. This tournament has been on the tour since 1938. It's one of the 3 oldest events on the tour. It really has got great history. Of course, Sam Snead won it 8 times when it was the Greenbrier. I don't think Wyndham existed when he won it the 8th time.
I don't think so.
But his final when he was 52 years old, which is pretty amazing stuff. As we said, the main focus here will be the play. Actually, let's just quickly talk about the course. It's a Donald Ross. This is one of the best watches all year.
Sedgefield, yeah.
Sedgefield Country Club. Really good golf course to watch. Interesting greens surrounds, mix of short grass and rough. You'll see some really interesting shots around the greens. Lots of birdies to be had. The scoring's good. It'll be good. Plenty wide enough, not tree line, narrow, too much rough. So that'll be good to watch in that way. Who's going to get the attention? Justin Thomas missed the cut last week. I was staggered by that.
Yeah,
he really is struggling.
Made his debut here as a 16-year-old.
Now, that I didn't know. There you go.
About, what year I'm now guessing.
8 years ago? 16? 20, wouldn't have been 2012?
2012, I think he was 16-year-old amateur, and they gave. Texas. And I'm not sure what the connection is but there's obviously a Wyndham connection somehow. He got a sponsor's invite as a 16-year-old, and the photos of him. Like Jordan Spieth looked young when he played Byron Nelson. Yeah. Justin Thomas looks like a genuine child when he played his first PGA Tour.
Is there a photo of the two of them together eating a sandwich? You know they're friends.
I've heard.
Yeah. Anyway, so he will be the one to watch. He is really under the pump. That is just staggering to me. He would never have expected when he started his career that he'd ever be in this position to make the top 70. For him to get to the Tour Championship this year would be extraordinary from where he is. So he'll be one to watch. Our own Cam Davis is right around that number. Shane Lowry is outside the top 70 number. Adam Scott's streak of 16 appearances at the playoffs is in danger. Him and Justin Rose, I think, are the only two so far. He's at 81st. He came here in similar position last year and tore it up, then nearly won the BMW the following week. So can he lift again? Who knows? But look, it'll be a good, interesting week. Those stories within the stories will make it somewhat interesting, but the golf course is worth watching for, so tune into the Wyndham.
Yeah, it is actually an interesting event. Brad Seneca shot 59 there, of course, a few years back.
Yeah, he's a great story this year from the sternum surgery. He's come back, it's like he never left.
Yeah.
He's playing better than he has for years.
Great friends with our man Ned Michaels.
Is that right?
Yeah, I believe.
Ned would be great friends with everybody.
Everyone loves Ned Michaels. He's a great guy. Greenie, let's get you to start us off with some tipping thoughts. But before you do, though, given you run Teepster, what's your Teepster record like? Are you any good at it?
Oh, you shouldn't have asked me that. I'm terrible this year. Yeah, all sorts of problems. We have an extra format that if you pick someone and they finish in the top 5, you get to choose them again. So, you could have made a lot of money on Scotty Scheffler this year, which a lot of people have done. And they just keep picking him, although just about everyone picked him in the Open. So,
wrong week.
He's no good now.
He's done
I haven't been good.
He's done everyone a favour at Teepster by not winning.
I do search hard for those sort of outsiders. That's sort of the key, the advice that I give people. So perhaps I'm not looking for the winners as such. That's my excuse anyway.
We like outsiders. All right, who have you got at the Wyndham then?
Yeah, just looking through the field. I mean, Justin Thomas is that interesting one. You keep looking at his name, you think, this can't keep going, this poor form. And I'm kind of interested to see where Hideki Matsuyama's at. He's in the field this week too, and I just don't know whether he's coming back into form or is he just sort of plateauing in this sort of mediocre golf that he's been playing lately. But JT Poston is probably the guy that everyone's looking at the moment. But I'm actually going to go with the Englishman, Aaron Rai. He wasn't so good at this particular tournament last year, but he's posting some great results now on the PGA Tour. Has about 5 top 25 finishes now in the last 7 starts, so he's my pick this week.
He's very greeny, isn't he? Just that understated,
very greeny tip. I like it.
Good, solid player.
2 gloves and iron covers. Yeah. That's not really a greeny sort of deal.
Flies under the radar.
Okay. Rod,
Yeah, I like it.
a thought?
I forgot to mention the Australians in the field. Baddeley, Cam Davis, Harrison Endicott, Scott, and Cam Percy. And I'm actually going to go with Aaron Baddeley. He looks rejuvenated. What do you have? 35 kids he was on the TV set with last week.
6.
Played quite well. Looks as fit as he ever has. Swinging it great. And he's a confidence player. I'd just love to see him win it. Do I think he'll actually win it? No, probably not, but I would love. It'd be great to see him win it. No, he's never lost the belief in himself. You and Porter told us earlier this year that, if you recall, watch out for Bads. He's as dedicated now as he's ever been. So.
I love every time you talk to Bads. I did a story with Bads, I think 3 years ago at the start of the season, and I was on the phone with him from Hawaii for 40 minutes. Yeah. Told me about how he's never played better and he's all this and all that and all this and that. And I think he's one of those guys that thinks that's the case every single year. I've never been better. I've never played better. So
he keeps hanging on though.
Absolutely.
He's hung onto his tour card this whole time. He's been, 125 to 150 a few times, but that's a hell of an achievement that we don't pay enough attention to keep your card on the tour. So.
His kids have started to get into golf too, so that's one of the big drives. Can I just quickly, before I get to my tip, just run through his children's names?
Okay, that'd be great.
Jewel, Jolie, Jeremiah, Josiah, Jadex, and Jedediah.
So they can't have any more because there's no J names left.
Well, there's Jimmy.
It's Jimmy, yeah, of course.
Come on, Aaron.
Jumbo.
The bubble has my interest as well, and I think Adam Scott with that playoffs on the line. I think we probably all see him as Adam. Does he really care about that? But Adam seems to like these streaks as a thing. You remember a couple of years ago, US Open, he was going to miss out, and his major streak, he went back to sectional qualifying and played his ass off and got in. He showed some decent signs at the Open as well. Mixed form here in 5 trips, but he was runner-up 2 years ago in that 6-man or 5-man playoff. So
just depends on the week, doesn't it? He can do anything still. He just hasn't done for a while.
Classic Donald Ross golf course suits an Adam Scott type player.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's on. Yeah. I think you're right.
So next is one that I actually forgot about this week until I remembered last night. LIV Golf back in action.
Is that telling us anything?
Yeah, maybe. But at a former PGA Tour venue in the Greenbrier in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. Previously a host of a Ryder and a Solheim Cup. Famous for having Sam Snead attached to it for many years and Phil Mickelson in later years. Tom Watson was the pro emeritus, so was Lee Trevino, and a bit of a celebrity playground sort of deal.
Trashed in the Hurricanes a few years ago, completely trashed.
Yeah. Washed out what was the military tribute at the Greenbrier on the PGA Tour in 2016. So the Old White, it's actually one of the best courses LIV's probably actually played a tournament on in its 18-month history. Charles Blair McDonald and Seth Rayner, and it's got the famous template holes out there. So it's, again, a good watch for the golf course. Always low scoring. Stuart Appleby shot 59 here the first year they played the Greenbrier Classic on the PGA Tour. And interestingly, 3 LIV players were past winners of PGA Tour events here. So Waka Neiman 2019, Kevin Na the year before, and Danny Lee in 2015.
Wow. Is Danny Lee playing LIV?
Yeah.
How did I not know that? Is that my fault or theirs?
That probably says a bit about it. He won a LIV event.
He did win, didn't he? Of course, yeah. How did I forget that? Yeah.
Long putter. First start for all these guys since the Open, where Henrik Stenson was actually the best LIV finisher.
Who would have picked that?
Yeah, ahead of Louis Oosthuizen. And then Cam Smith showed some good signs, but had some rare putter struggles actually at the weekend at Royal Liverpool. And I don't think Cam loves playing in lashing rain and wind, I'll be honest. Major season now over. It's a kind of interesting period for LIV guys to get themselves motivated for the rest of the year for the bigger guys. But Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka have potential Ryder Cup stuff for them, so there's a bit there. And Phil Mickelson, another one interesting to watch here, given his association with the golf course.
Just on the Ryder Cup thing, has there been a decision made yet about their eligibility? No, they really are running right up to the line with this, aren't they?
Koepka, I think, played a practice round with Zach Johnson at the Open or spent some time with him. So I think he will be there. Yeah.
You'd have to think that framework agreement it's given them the option, should they want to, of inviting whoever they'd like to come in from.
At this stage, realistically, I mean, you'd take Koepka, obviously, and probably take Dustin Johnson, and that's probably the end of it. And then they get away. Those guys are above all of it, it seems.
Yes, I think so too. Yeah. They're the genuine world-class players of LIV, and they do all sort of Smith, Johnson, Koepka particularly sort of sit above it all in a way, don't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's get some thoughts on a winner. I will go first because I want to take Cam Smith because I think everyone else will. Because winner in the last LIV event, decent at the Open at times, course suits him, back in warmer weather, and another chance for a a second win when he won 5 times last year. He's only won once this year. I think that kind of upsets Cam a little bit, having spoken to him the week before the Open. So
it's the danger of going to LIV, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Greenie, a LIV thought? So I didn't let you prep for this, but it's easy because it's the same players every week.
Yeah, that's true. It still has me scrambling slightly, mate. But I did think during the Open at one point, Abraham Answer was finding a little bit of form, and he's a guy that, he did win earlier in the year, but I did think, actually, I think I can see this guy coming back into the form soon, and he was a little bit, he struggled on the weekend, I think, at the Open, like a lot of people did, but I'll go with Abraham Answer this week.
Aussie Abe.
Love Aussie Abe.
Everyone loves Aussie Abe.
His profile's taken a real hit with LIV, hasn't it? He had a presence on the PGA Tour.
Yeah,
he did.
A little bit.
He hasn't played great on LIV.
No,
but, he doesn't need the personal endorsements anymore. Obviously, none of them do. That's the flip side of the LIV coin. But yeah, his profile. You're looking at me, Jimmy. I'm going to go with Phil Mickelson, and I'll tell you why. Because he's fired up, and he needs to do something again soon, or people will stop talking about him. And Phil Mickelson hates nothing more than people stopping talking about him.
Very true.
So he's and as you said, I think he was the tour rep here for a while, was he not?
Yeah, he was.
Golfer. So I think he's quite capable. He's been out on Twitter trolling and really getting up the smack.
Back to his best, or in inverted commas.
Yeah, back to his entertaining.
Correct.
Best. So I think that could just fire him up.
Very good. Like the men, the Freed Group Women's Scottish Open new sponsor this year is the tune-up for the AIG Women's Open and returns to an increasingly familiar Dundonald links. Side of Open final qualifying this year. 5th time this tournament goes to the Kyle Phillips modern links that was the rejuvenation of old links land that was originally designed by the winner of the 1883 Open Championship, Willie Fernie. I'm assuming you covered that one, Rod. So
actually, I had to skip that one. There was a competing event on that I had to cover. Sorry. Yeah.
Like Phillips' work at Kingsbarns, more trees than a traditional links, and it's kind of a unique week that we're going to a links golf course before an Open Championship, but the Open Championship the week after isn't being played on a links. So players will have to make an adjustment to that sort of ground game for this week only, and that has kept some of the bigger ones away. Quite understandably so. They've been in France, then to go to Scotland, to then go back to England. I think that's kind of sorted a few of them out. So Nelly Corder, Jin Young Ko and Lydia Ko, who happen to be the top 3 players in the world, are all missing. But newly minted major winner Celine Boutier is listed as still being in the field. So too the 3 previous major winners for this year, Ronnie Yin, Alison Corpuz and Lilia Vu. So
scheduling's so difficult, isn't it? And the LPGA have really got it wrong this year. Probably not their own fault, but they've really got it wrong. At every turn, they've had the wrong tournament at the wrong time.
Even just the Evian going up against the Senior Open.
The
Senior Open at a great golf course, we don't see that often. It's a hard sell against it. So
it's not a criticism in as much as I feel for the LPGA. I don't know what you do.
Yeah.
They find it very nobody cuts them a break. Nobody ever does them a favour and says, listen, we'll take the week off or which makes it hard. But this notion of going sort of Evian, Scotland, women's British, if you're a top player, it's too much top level golf back to back to back.
Yeah. And knowing you go to Scotland and you probably get beaten up by the weather for a couple of days.
There's not a lot
a major
game,
championship,
if the wind blows, you can just get blown off course like they did at the Senior. A lot of those guys are going to struggle next time out because they're going to be thinking, I can't play this game anymore. So,
Minjee Lee heads the Aussie charge. That also includes Sarah Kemp, Steph Kiriakou, who was top Aussie last week. Well done, Steph, and Karis Davidson. It's a combined LET and LPGA event this week. Ayaka Fiore won last year. Ashley Buhai is a player to watch because she loves this sort of stuff.
She does.
And Kiara Noja, a rising star on the LET. So every time she plays, it's worth watching. And it's one of the best golf swings you see going around.
She got some good groupings last week too. Like they've realised
what they've got.
And that's great for her because she's learning things playing at that level that otherwise would take a couple of years before you get there. She's seeing the best players up close playing at their best and their worst. And you'll learn a lot as a player doing that.
Absolutely. All right, let's grab a winner here. Greenie, once again, you can lead the order.
Yeah, righto. I mean, as you hinted at, I'm often fascinated with this week before a major. Are players tweaking swings and that sort of stuff? But the fact that they've just come off a major is even more interesting. And can you keep form going for 3 weeks in a row?
Do you want to win a week before a major, Greenie? Do you want
trying to do your tapering of performance for major? Not a major, but a big money event, back to major, an event you might want to play because it's links golf. And I can't imagine that.
Sorry, Greenie, I interrupted you there. I'm with you. It's a tough gig.
So I've settled on Gabby Lopez. She's performed pretty well here the last couple of times, top 20 finishes, and she was tied for third last week. She'll be around the mark, I'd imagine, and probably goes all right if the wind blows as well, I think.
Good player, Gabby Lopez.
Absolutely.
Underrated player.
You're absolutely right. Again, she doesn't have the wins, but my goodness, she's there and thereabouts an awful lot.
Yep.
That tells you a lot about a golfer. That sort of consistency is good.
Yep. Rod, a winner?
I'm out in left field here. I climbed the fence and couldn't get back in.
Nice.
I'm going with Gemma.
Gemma Driver?
Yeah, Huggy's going to belt me again. Gemma Driver, because A, she's a good player. B, she played well last week. And C, in Scotland at home. It'll be an awful lot of pressure for her. But she's about ready, I think, to go to the next level. She's had her first LPGA win at the back end of last year, I think it was, or the year before. God almighty, time goes fast.
Last year.
But she's a really solid player. I'll tell you where I saw her play, actually, funnily enough, Jimmy.
The Women's New South Wales Open at Dubbo Golf Club, right?
Golf Club. And she was very impressive and a really, really, really nice person.
Do you get kickbacks from Dubbo Council or something for all the mentions?
Not yet, but, I'm not giving up.
That is outstanding. They are getting more value for you covering that event than anything ever. I genuinely...
Good fun out that golf course.
Yeah, there we go.
Golf courses.
We got another Dubbo fan.
Right next to the zoo. You can hear the wildlife, carrying on next door.
I went to the zoo as a young boy. We drove out there as a family, and the whole thing was flooded. The only thing you could see was the top of the hippo's eyes. So,
and the odd giraffe neck.
I haven't been back to Dubbo Zoo since then, I must say. Genuinely, I think Celine Boutier could go back-to-back here.
It's a huge call, isn't it?
She was, I think, second or third here last year.
Second, I think.
But, it's a tough call. So instead, I'm going to go with Charlie Hull. Miscut last week, but completely forget that. Evian just doesn't suit some players. Charlie Hull being one of those players. Tied second at the US Open the start before. That's a really good sign. And if it's windy, Charlie Hull is made for this sort of stuff.
She'll be engaged. She's like Steph Kiriakou. Miscuts mean nothing.
No.
Nothing at all. Come out the next week and just shoot lights out.
Yeah.
But if she's engaged, and she's talked about it herself, she gets bored on the golf course if it's just boring golf.
Yeah.
This won't be boring golf, particularly if the wind blows. So I think you're right.
The next 2 weeks, huge for her as they get towards Solheim Cup, where she should be a fixture of the Solheim
What'd she
Cup.
say about the quiet kids? The quiet kids don't get the sweets or something?
Yeah.
Just great line before. That's one of golf's great moments, I reckon, that whole thing that unfolded on the 18th there at Pebble.
Finally, let's get a little closer to home with the Mandiri Indonesian Open. And Rod, you can take the reins again. And I think this is one of our favourite golf courses to cover in previewing sense, because this place is wild.
Think of a dartboard, and that's kind of what this golf course looks like. So it's not far from Jakarta.
Yeah.
There's this enormous city. It's a crazy place to have a golf course with the price of land. So it's a housing development. There are houses everywhere around the place. Robert Trent Jones Jr., the only thing you could really do with the land, the front nine is a big circle that goes outside the property. Then there's an inner circle, which is the back nine, which runs around the inside of the property. I mean, it's just bizarre.
I remember talking to Aaron Pike about playing there one year, and it was just quite an experience.
I don't know. Do they go opposite way? Like Dean Herden told me last week before caddying at Evian, he said the front nine ruins your left leg and the back nine ruins your right. Because
on the side there,
I wonder if there's anything similar to that here. You get the snap hooks on the front nine, staying away from the trouble on the right. Then you've got to switch it around when you get to the back nine and go the opposite direction. So look, that makes it interesting. There's nothing about the golf course that makes you go, wow, I really want to watch this. This is going to be incredible. This is a $500,000 US event on the Asian Tour, which is not particularly big. Obviously, they've got the international series now and the ties with LIV, so this is not a huge event, but they haven't played since sort of the third week of June. So there's a lot of players keen to get out and just play. Yep. Because if you're a professional golfer not playing competitive golf, you're going backwards. So it's a pretty decent field in terms of age. A lot of local players that we don't know anything about, or certainly I don't know anything about. Likely that a winner is probably going to come from a player that we've not heard of, so not sure what's going to happen there. I will go with, there's quite a few Australians in the field, firstly. Brazel, Dan Lawson, Scott Henn, Todd Sinnott, Terry Pilkadaris, Josh Younger, Marcus Fraser, Jack Thompson, Tom Power-Horan. I'm going to be really interested to see how he goes this year after a brilliant summer here in Australia. And Doug Klein. So I assume this is on KO. Usually
I think so.
You'll be able to watch it. Yeah, have a look for the golf course. It'll be, it's a golf tournament, professional golfers. There'll be some interesting golf played, but the golf course is the thing that'll catch it. If they do an aerial.
It's a week of golf courses. We've got a genuine, interesting week of golf courses.
If you're into course architecture, there's stuff to look at this week.
Yeah.
And again, next week with Walton Heath will be.
Of course. A winner from you, Rod? said with a lot of conviction incoming.
Take the dartboard, close your eyes, throw it. Todd Sinnott could do with a good performance. He's a good player. He had that win in Australia. He was at the
TPS Victoria,
and it's kind of sputtered a bit since then. Not his fault. Tough to find tournaments to play in and that sort of thing. So look, go Todd. I'd love to see Todd have one. But Tom Powell,
amazing talent.
Todd Terrific goal. I remember when he was a kid, he was just
I've said it, I think, on here or on Good before. Jeff Ogilvy said to me before he thinks Todd's got the talent to be a top 50 player in the world. So he just needs kind of a kick along, in all honesty. Like a lot of guys. That can be said of a lot of players.
Toughest thing in professional golf is to get a start. Something.
Big endorsement coming from Jeff.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jeff does know a bit about the game.
Yeah. It's a bit more of the ringing one than the Clayton, what Logue sometimes calls the Clayton touch of death. Clayton tells you about someone and they disappear. Anyway. Greenie, a winner in Indonesia?
Yeah, tough one to pick considering a lot of players in the field I'm not familiar with either, but I did do a little bit of research and I saw the Korean guy called Min Kyu Kim that actually, he missed the cut, travelled and actually no, he missed the cut in the Open. No, he didn't. He was T4 defending at the Korean Open was it last month? I think it was.
Yeah, back into June.
And he finished 6th last year here. I'm going to go with him.
I like Mick Kim. He's a good player. Yeah.
It's a specialised sort of golf, isn't it, the Asian Tour?
It is.
There's players there that really excel and they just don't seem to travel particularly because the style of golf is so much different.
That's right. And they perform sometimes in other countries that have similar golf, similar conditions and that sort of stuff. It's a rare guy who goes around and wins in a whole lot of different places apart from like your Scott Hens and stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I've also done my research and found one of my favourites in Pachara Kongwat Mai. Tip this week.
Good player.
Good player. Had a bit of a rough stretch. COVID was harsh on Pachara, but he's actually had some good results this year, mixed in with a bit of rubbish. But I think he kind of coming back towards what he could be. I mean, if there's a consistent Asian Tour season, he would play a lot and do well. So
he's a winner. I know it's on secondary tours, but he's a winner in time. He's a prolific winner. Yeah. And winning doesn't matter what level.
Teenage superstar. That's won at 14. So
you've got to be able to win at whatever level you're at, and he's a proven winner. So
I haven't seen him for a little while, but might be another double glover like Greenie's man Aaron Rai. He was at one stage, I think, or at least putted with the glove on.
Which is completely different to wearing two gloves.
No, it's not. Not at all.
Unless he changes gloves, gets out a right-hand glove to putt with and then puts on the left-hand glove.
I watched him play a match at the World Super 6 Perth against Brett Rumford and nearly beat Rummy one year.
Ooh.
And it was outstanding.
Do you know, it's cruel, and I've said this before, but when I used to watch Brett Rumford play in person, inside secretly you're cheering for him to miss greens.
Oh, yeah.
Because he'd just produce these magical shots from around. The last place you wanted to see Brett Rumford was on the green.
Absolutely. Exactly.
Pick the worst imaginable spot around the green and hope he misses it there.
Absolutely.
He still produces and puts out small videos of himself chipping on social media, and I still stare at it and watch it again and replay it every time he puts something there.
The little videos in his little golf/workout/bike room at home, including the one where he hits a coin up with a wedge and it gets it into his pocket, is just that's a combination of exceptional talent, work ethic, and a misspent youth.
Yeah, absolutely. And a desire to show off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kirsten Rudsley, I'll never forget this story. It was on a Golf Australia podcast back into last year, the year before, talked about just being down at the chipping green at Fremantle Golf Club, I think it is that they're at there, Royal Fremantle, and she was there around the chipping green. There was this guy there and they started chatting and she was giving him some tips and she's going home, she's telling us, I think his name was Brett. He was really good. Dad's like, you what?
Yeah, no idea.
Brett Rumford, no idea. Get back down there.
Yeah, well, now he helps her with her short game.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great story.
Yeah.
That is it for episode 25 of Playing from the Tips. Greenie, thank you for joining us. And to everyone listening, go check out Teepster to see if you can beat our work.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Setting the bar high there.
Well, they're competitive.
Not without Logue, we're not.
I won a major last week, please. Speak for yourself.
That's a good year.
Rod, thank you as always, and good luck with your continued search for Logue.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Or maybe not good luck if you don't want him to come back, I don't know.
Track him down by icon on his
by coloured app. We will be back next week for our AIG Women's Open episode, and you can keep up to date with all these events and so much more on our website, golfaustralia.com.au, and check out our YouTube channel, Golf Australia Magazine, with our tips from PGA of Australia professionals to improve your game. You could do with that, wouldn't you?
It's not fair on them.
No, it's not.
It's not. There's nothing for them to gain by me out there spreeing.
Thank you for listening.